Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This is the Mangina Dialogues. We at it again with your host Nick Scopes and the Gregolicious. You know how we do, cause you know we keeping it gangster and silly. Unplugged like a full swung titty. About get jitty, cause you know we down to the nitty and the gritty. And we make shit sound so damn pretty. Yeah, cause this unhinged comedy. And right now you're in the mix, so get ready, cause we about to get it poppin', and we ain't stopping. Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged.
Hello and welcome to the Mangina Dialogues. I am your host, Nick Scopes.
And I'm Gregolicious.
And our guest today is the very funny and currently very sweaty Earl Skakel. What's up, Earl?
How you doing, Earl?
Just cooling down, so everything's good. But I wanted to get the workout in before I did this, so I'd be in a peak mental clarity.
How long did you walk or ellipted?
I ellipted for an hour and 5 minutes.
God damn, dude. Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a workout, and I get through it by watching hockey fight videos.
Are you a big hockey fan?
I'm a gigantic hockey fan, actually from Los Angeles, so it doesn't make sense. But I got the Ranger games on cable as a kid out here, so I actually grew up a Ranger fan.
Oh, really? Are you a Kings fan?
Oh, I was a King fan before Gretzky, like when you could literally go to the Forum and for $5 sit on the glass because nobody really cared. So, actually, and then he came along.
I think I'm wearing a Kings hat. Actually, am I? Oh no, it's my Manhattan Beach logo.
It's close to it though.
Yeah,
it was close.
Yeah, it's close enough.
So you were I was a Rangers fan. I grew up in Westchester, in New York, and I actually have a picture. I try to find it. I have a picture with the Stanley Cup because one of the guys lived in Mamaroneck. He lived.
Oh, okay.
I forget if it was Christian Zubov. Is that his name? Sergey. Okay, I'm pretty sure I have a photo of that when I was a kid with the Stanley Cup. I'll find it, but yeah, I loved the Rangers growing up, man.
Love to see you in the Stanley Cup.
I mean, I was like 6. So
I was obsessed with this player named Barry Beck, who at the time, this is late 70s, early 80s, he was just so much bigger than everyone, and he had this big afro, and he was white, and now he'd be a small player in today's league, but back then he was just like the Jewish Shaq, and he was just dumb.
The Jewish Shaq.
I found it, guys.
Let me see who that is.
Can't see the player. This is just me and my godfather and his kids.
I could make a joke now, but it's in this era. It's just I'll lay low on the kid jokes.
Yeah, it's an oversaturated market, I'd say, nowadays.
I mean, I might headline if this keeps up. If enough comics drop out, I might actually get to make some money in this business.
So one thing you and Nick Scopes have in common is that you both were physical trainers, personal trainers before comedy. Nick is a current. That's actually how I met Nick. Nick is a personal trainer, and I met him in the gym.
Greg was my client.
He was my trainer. That's how we met.
Yeah, I mean, fitness can bring people together. I don't know how you feel, but I just got sick of telling lazy people to exercise, And
I get that. I for sure get that because it's tough. Like, I don't know why you got into training, but I know I got into training because I just loved it so much. And I love doing it. And when you're so passionate about something, you just want to share it with people. But for a while, it took me a bit to understand that other people aren't going to care as much.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And that's the majority of it. Like, I actually talked about this recently. Like, I have a degree in exercise science and all this stuff. Great, cool. All right. All these certifications, but these people just need like little bits of motivation, and it's more about changing their behaviors. They don't care about like what muscle does what and where it inserts and all that anatomy shit. They don't care. They just want, these results, but a lot of them don't want to do what it takes to get it. So
yeah, and in LA, especially in the part I'm in, which is West Hollywood, it's very vain.
Oh yeah.
Section of the city. People almost just wanted a trainer just to say they had one. And,
That's a thing too. Yeah, it's a status thing. Yeah.
Training one day, and it's which I get. I mean, most of my clients were mayors and beyond, agents, managers, just rich people, and I don't know. I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do forever.
How long did you do it for?
Probably 7 or 8 years.
Oh wow!
And, I mean, I was certified, and I had a degree in kinesiology, so like I was serious about it. But then I knew comedy was what I was meant to do. Whether I would be good at it or not, I didn't know. But I made the right decision.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
what was the decision to get into training? Like, were you always just into that stuff growing up, or?
Yeah, always worked out. And then, my first couple jobs were, very low-level jobs at gyms, because I thought, wow, that's a great place to meet girls. And the first training job I had, it's pretty funny. My boss was Dean Martin's daughter, whose name was Dina Martin, real stretch. And,
he wanted a boy.
I was at Family Fitness Center in Beverly Hills, and they said, your boss is downstairs. He'll teach you how to do everything. So I go downstairs, and there's this huge black guy asleep on the life cycle. And his name was Stanley. And I tapped him on the shoulder, and he was big dude. And turns out it was a football player, Stanley Wilson, who got, I think, suspended from the Bengals the night before the Super Bowl because he did cocaine or something. I forget the story. So this was my boss. This was my foray into the fitness business, was an NFL player who had a slight problem with the nasal whiskey.
Nasal whiskey.
So I just watched a Miami Vice marathon. So, but it was he was a nice guy, but I was like so sad. Oh my God, this guy used to be in the NFL, and now he's making $14 an hour. So, and then I bounced around and then just quit.
How long have you been doing comedy full time? That's it.
I mean, I've been doing it so long, I really don't remember when I started. Like, it's crazy for me to say that, but I mean, that's it's a trick question. How long have I been making a living at it? Probably about 5 years. How long have I been doing it? Probably 20.
Right.
So, because in LA, which is I love LA. I never want to live anywhere else, but it's the worst city in the world to start comedy in, because it's like learning how to play basketball in the NBA.
Right.
Just everyone out here is established, and so it's. I always tell people, don't start comedy in LA. Start in Winnipeg and then come here.
Right. When do you think the right time would be for a stand-up to come to LA? Like, how do you gauge the right time?
I'd say when you have stuff happening, like if you're, and by that I mean, if you have a pilot for a TV show, or if you're in a movie, if you're,
right.
If you come out here with nothing going on, it's not impossible to make it, but it's pretty hard, because to get in at the comedy clubs nowadays, you pretty much have to be on TV.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different answer for every comic. Like, right. I've seen comics come out here, they're not ready, they bomb in front of industry, and they move back home inside of a year.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it seems like now, to your point, it would be an impossible thing to do, is to get any traction. When you have 300-400 people show up to be a doorman and an interview at the Comedy Store, that's needle in a haystack stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and the Comedy Store is so competitive right now that even to be a door guy there, you have to audition first as a comic.
Right.
So it's the funniest group of comics, because there are a few girls, so I don't want to say door guys, but door people, that I've seen up there ever. They're all funny, they're all working, they're all either opening up for Rogan or Bert, or headlining lesser rooms on their own.
Yeah. We had Jess Wellington on recently. We had Mitch on, Dave David Lucas is coming on next week. So, we've talked to a lot of these, dorm guys, and it's really amazing. It is one of the most unique things in entertainment, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how like the Improv and Laugh Factory audition their door people. I don't think they do. But, the Comedy Store it's the #1 club in probably the world.
Oh, for sure.
I know this. I don't want to piss off the Stand or the Cellar in New York, but it's arguably top 3, probably #1. So I feel bad for the talent coordinator because he's got to give. There's probably give or take 100 spots a week, and there's probably 400 comics who have the TV credits to get those 100 spots.
Yeah.
So he has to tell 200-300 comics a week, every single week. No. So he has the toughest job in comedy.
Yeah, it's I'm in pre all this shit. I'm in LA usually once a month or once every 6 weeks for like a week, and I spend a lot of time at the Comedy Store, and just the lineups I would see on any given Tuesday is absurd. For a comedy fan, I mean, that's how I got familiar with you and everybody. It's just like you see these lineups that have just a hit list of some of the biggest names in the industry alongside other amazing comedians. It's just, I don't know how you'd get on a lineup in the main room, the original. It blows me away consistently. I'll text Nick these lineups and he'll just curse at me for 2 hours.
I mean, it's pretty tough. I mean, just to show you how deep the roster is, there was one point, and I'm certainly fall into a category of an obscure level of not fame, but notoriety or whatever.
Right.
But I was on like 3 or 4 TV shows at the same time, and I was still going on at 12:30 because like everyone before me was on 5 TV shows,
right.
Whatever. So it's like the 27 Yankees. It's even the 9th guy in the batting order is an all-star. So the comics who go on toward the end of the night, they're all great comics. Like,
oh yeah.
And they're in the toughest spot, like you're following Rogan, Theo Von, all these, Sarah Tiana, like the who's who of comedy. Yeah. And you got to go on at 12:30 and they've heard every joke. They've heard every crowd work thing. So it's the comics who go on late night are really good because you have to be.
Yeah, for sure. Plus, they're playing to a room that people have sat. If they've sat there that long, a show that started at 9 and it's now 12:30. They've seen all of that, and now they're just there, and you really have to be good to keep them laughing.
Yeah,
they're just drunk
and
they're annoying, and you got to be good to shut them up. And I've seen some of the best stuff late. I've seen a couple of. Thankfully seen some of the Brody Stevens closeout sets that went on for an hour, and it just tears up the room.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Brody, like, he'll do an hour in front of 3 people, no problem. Like, most comics would be like, I can't do this for 5 minutes, let alone an hour. And Don Barris is the same way.
Yeah.
I've seen Don Barris do close to 2-hour sets in front of 5 people. It's a tricky spot going on late night at the store because you have a very limited amount of time to get them. And if you don't get them after 2 minutes, they start to act out. They're drunk. They're probably on coke. Or there's so many good shows. They'll go up to see Roast Battle. If you're not keeping their attention, they'll go in the main room to watch Brody or Brian Holtzman.
Yep.
So there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, for sure. So what's your favorite thing about working the Comedy Store, but the club? Do you obviously work the other clubs in LA, not just the store, right?
Not as much. I mean, the Comedy Store is definitely, I would say I get 80% of my LA spots there, which I'm okay with. I've never really found love at the Laugh Factory, which is a nice club. I'm not at the point where I can say, well, I don't want to play there.
Yeah.
And the Improv, I get, a few spots there a year. but I mean, the store just fits my style, which is, you know, very dry and sarcastic, and just I talk about stupid stuff that, you know, like I'm obsessed with the '80s band Ratt,
Yeah, I know.
and you know, the crowds there at the store are very young, so most of them weren't even born when Ratt was playing. They just know them as the band in the Geico commercial.
I know,
And,
it's insane now, right? Like that, it's so wild how that works.
Yeah.
You know, they get Geico, and it's all of a sudden they're back. You know, and it's amazing. Good for Steven. You know, I'm a big fan of theirs too for a long time. I think we share most of the same musical tastes and can talk about that for days upon days. And you know, when I saw them in that commercial, I was like, that's just fantastic.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was. I mean, I'm a little more attached to that music than most people because I grew up in LA, and
Yep.
I grew up right off of the Sunset Strip. So I would drive by on Friday and Saturday nights, and it's really hard to describe to people who weren't there. I feel like
Yep.
Vietnam, when people say you had to be there.
Yeah.
You know, on the Sunset Strip in the '80s, it's like trying to describe the Empire State Building to a blind person. It's
Right.
just there's nothing I can say.
Yeah,
Just
and
like,
I'm actually lucky enough to have lived that myself because I spent a lot of time in Southern California during that time. I'm an '80s
right.
kid too, and you know, I would take my parents' car and just ride up and down the strip myself alone. You know, and I'm 15, not 15, but driving 17, 16 years old, and you know, was lucky enough to go see a bunch of shows and a bunch of bands, and you know, it really is. It's true. Like you just couldn't. You had to either had to be there to understand it, or it. You can't even point people to be like, oh, go watch The Dirt because like that doesn't even really, you
Oh,
know, that movie
well,
was.
I mean, I didn't think The Dirt was a good movie just because in this Me Too and certainly the wave we're going through right now of certain comics having problems, you couldn't do an accurate movie about Motley Crue
Yeah,
in 2020. You know they fucked underage girls. You know they did a lot of crude things to women. So it was like, I think for a Gen Zer, it was a fun movie to watch and go, oh, these guys were wild. This is not an accurate portrayal.
yeah. No, I feel conflicted about that movie in many many reasons, but I think Nick liked it. Nick's considerably
I
younger.
enjoyed it. I mean, I love Motley Crue. I wasn't alive for their for the first half of their career, but I mean, I love their music. I love all those guys in the band. I followed them. I watched The Dirt. I thought it was great. That stuff. I mean, that music. I mean, I play still to this day before I go on stage. I listen to Looks That Kill, Live Wire, and Take Me to the Top. I have to listen to those songs before I go on. So, I mean, I was born in '88, but like that music just lasts forever. It's still so good.
Oh yeah, I mean they were a great band. I just you know, my problem with The Dirt, and this is how much of a fan I am of the genre, is it was so factually inaccurate. Even the first scene where they pan to the whiskey and there was a Fast Times at Ridgemont High poster, but that movie hadn't come out yet when that. So now I don't think anyone's watching The Dirt and going, "Hey, that didn't happen then," or you know, or when I think a few scenes later they had Tommy Lee wearing a Hulkamania shirt, but there's supposed to be like 81, 82 in the scene, and being a pro wrestling fan, I'm ashamed to admit this, but Hulkamania didn't happen until '84. So, you know, it's just like, and there's a couple other things that they got wrong. And it's like, you could have had an intern who would have loved to work for free on this movie, just fact check. But, you know, I'm probably nitpicking a little too much.
Why such an affinity to Ratt?
I just think they were the best band of that era. You know, I like them much more than Motley Crue. But, you know, Motley Crue had, I guess, a bigger career or a bigger prime. I just like their songs better. And I think Warren DeMartini, who's the lead guitar player, or he was the lead guitar player in Ratt, they've had a few lineup changes.
Yeah, a few.
He's very underrated as a guitar player. Like, I saw him play, I think about 2 years ago in Beverly Hills, a Frank Zappa tribute concert, and you know, you got some amazing musicians at this thing, and And Frank Zappa's music's pretty complex to play. And I thought DeMartini would, I mean, it's very, a lot of chord changes and, complex structures of the songs. And I thought he was the best player there. And, you could tell people were like, well, that's the guy from Ratt. Wasn't he in them when they looked like gay pirates? For better or worse, I love Piercy's voice. It's so identifiable.
Yeah.
That's Ratt.
I saw, it wasn't even Ratt. It was just Stephen Piercy solo, probably 10 years ago at, maybe more than that, I don't even know, at BB King's in New York City in like the cellar, right? I don't know if you're there, but it was like a basement club. And, the ceilings are probably 12, 13 feet high. And his voice just pierced through that entire room for 2 hours. And he really still keeps up, where if you're into obviously that music, even you look at Motley Crue, it's kind of embarrassing as to the state of their live shows, with Vince, not the band, just Vince just can't keep up. His vocals are rough.
I saw them in 2015 when it was their farewell tour.
The first farewell.
Yeah, that's like they were almost as bad as Kiss. I went to Kiss's farewell tour in '93, and they're still chugging along. And I sat in the front row because I thought, well, this is going to be their last show ever. And I'll pay top dollar so I can say I was in the front. And Vince, I'll never forget the first song. He was already out of breath.
Like
he didn't even sing a note yet. He literally was out of breath getting to the stage or the front of the stage. And I'm so close to him, I could literally touch his shoe.
Yep.
And I think it was Shout at the Devil. So he's like, shout. And then he put the mic over my head. I'm like, I paid $1,200 for this ticket.
You sing about the song. It's so funny because it's exactly what I said. I'm like, you know what? I went to it also. And then not only was Vince terrible, but it was the string of shows when Tommy Lee hurt himself and he couldn't play. So Alice Cooper's drummer, Glenn,
he's great.
Filled in. He's an amazing drummer, but so he filled in and played. But you paid all his money to see Crew. You want the drum set roll over the audience. They didn't do that because it's Tommy's thing. And then Vince, every other lyric from the song, he's putting the mic out to the audience to sing half of the songs. It was just to me it was embarrassing for a band that I grew up such a huge fan of.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other takeaway from that concert was during Nicky's bass solo, he's got this like canister attached to his bass, and it was very odd looking. I'm like, what is that? So he starts blowing fire out of the canister right over my head, and then someone starts dropping confetti on the crowd. It's like, did you guys not learn anything about Great White? You're dropping paper on the crowd and fire's going the other way. Like, you gotta read the room, Jack. So, but it was a fun. I mean, I'll give them this visually. I felt bad for Mick Mars. He looks like he's dead.
Yeah, he really does. He might be.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Weekend at Bernie's, and but he still played great.
He's one of the. I think one of the best guitar players
ever. They were supposed to go on a tour this year before all the coronavirus shit happened. It was supposed to be.
Yeah, it was. I think
them, Poison, Def Leppard,
and Joan Jett. Which I don't know how she got on that bill. Like, I don't know who said, "Yeah, we need a lesbian. Let's get Joan Jett."
Vixen was booked.
You gotta fill the quota.
But that fit the bill better than Joan Jett. But I think a few members of Vixen are dead, I think. So
I think one of them is. Actually, one of them, to believe it or not, lives in our town, or lived. She might, I don't think she's the dead one, but one of them lives potentially still in our town where we live in Connecticut, and she's a dental hygienist.
Yeah, I mean, it's, those 80s metal bands like Vixen, it's tough. They kind of got there a little late to the party.
Yeah.
They had one pretty big hit with Edge of a Broken Heart.
Yep.
But some of the band members, if you don't write the song, you don't really get publishing. So if you're, say, the drummer and you didn't write the song or co-write it, you think, wow, she must be making a lot of money on that song. Not really. So
there's much more in teeth. What other bands are you besides Ratt, and what else are you into? I mean, I see all the shirts that you wear.
Let's say Kiss. I love Kiss. Cinderella,
right,
which is funny because I've actually become good friends with the drummer, who had, to this day, I think, the greatest quote in rock history. When Cinderella had a nice run, it was a brief run, but they were at the top for a second, and they said to Fred, "What's your career goal? I mean, what do you want to be known for?" And he just looks into the camera with the most genuine look and says, "I just want to be good enough to play on the albums." And it's like, wait, what? Wait, who's playing on the albums? You're on the cover. So, pretty much any metal band.
Right.
I dated the manager of Motorhead for 6 years, so I kind of got forced into being a fan of theirs, but I ended up liking them.
Yeah. I think Cinderella is they're one of my favorites, actually, out of that era. And, I think of all of those bands, they do have a super staying power, because it wasn't so typical of what LA glam rock hair band music was. It was straight ahead rock and roll, and they just happened to fit the visual, I think, or were made to fit the visual.
Yeah, I mean, they were kind of like I guess you'd say, a glammier version of Aerosmith.
Yeah.
They were blues based.
Yeah, blues.
And Tom Kiefer, he doesn't get the credit. He's so talented.
Yeah.
But they get shit on, for lack of a better word, for looking like they did in some of their videos. And, Ratt had the same problem. Doc and George Lynch is a fantastic guitar player, but most people know him as the guy with the two-tone hair.
Yeah.
The mullet.
Yep.
And Poison, I like. They're a fun band. I don't like to think when I listen to music.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can gather that by the bands I like.
Right.
So
I'm the same way. When people are in the car with me and I'm listening to music, I'm like, "You ever listen to these lyrics? You hear what they're saying?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't really. I just like the emotion it brings me and how it feels." Now
I don't want to listen to R.A.M. singing about the rainforest.
Some deep intellectual thoughts at Crosby, Stills and Nash's, "Sweet Judy Blue Eye."
I love Springsteen. Springsteen's great, but when he gets into the political stuff, and I get it, he has a beautiful song called 41 Shots, which is about that African American who got shot 41 times.
Yep.
But I don't want to listen to that in the car. It should be sung about. But when I'm going to the gym, I don't want to have that visual in my head of someone getting shot by bad cops 41 times.
Yeah, right.
So
let's talk about comedy, I guess. The music thing is so. I mean, I could do that all day. We had Mark. Mark Weiss, the photographer?
I know the name. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we had Mark on a few months ago, and I've actually become very friendly with Mark in a short period of time since then. And he's got an amazing book out called The Decade That Rocked. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's some of the most amazing pictures from that era. It'll immediately bring you back to your bedroom. Of it being a teenager. I guarantee it. It's awesome. Just, he took some of the most iconic pictures that you don't even realize. He shot the Twisted Sister Stay Hungry album cover, D with the bone. I mean, just some incredible GNR stuff. All the bands we talked about. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, no, he's a legendary. He's such a legendary photographer to music fans. It's almost like Wayne Gretzky. Even if you hate hockey, you know who Wayne Gretzky is.
Yeah.
So he's much in that vein of, you may know nothing about music or hard rock, but Mark Weiss.
Yeah, it's for sure. And when we were talking to him, I was like, I don't know what this is going to come, ultimately what you're going to make of what I'm about to tell you, but I'm like, I had so many of your pictures on my ceiling of my bedroom wall when I was a teenager of guys in hot pants, and spandex, that, I'm sure my mother walked in the room every day and was just really fucking confused on what was going on with me.
Well, it's so hard to be a rock photographer because, like, when I was in the Motorhead world for 6 years, I would always be in the pre-show meetings they have with the photographers, and they're given very strict guidelines of you only get the first 2 songs.
Yeah.
Anything after the second song you have to give to us, and we'll burn it because they don't want to be, by the 10th song they're pretty sweaty and gross looking. So the fact that he got as many good shots as he did is even more testament to how good he was.
He was a great photographer. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, and it may be a rough subject, but like I saw you had some interesting things to say about Jeremy Piven on your social media and his stand-up.
He's horrible.
All you guys hate him out there, man. Earl's not the only one. I mean, every comedy podcast I listen to, they talk about it.
I mean, I don't think I'm. This is no CNN breaking news.
Yeah, pretty well known. Everyone hates him.
I mean, I don't like him because to me, he got into comedy for all the wrong reasons. Like, he's doing comedy because he has to, not because he wants to.
So when you say that, why do you mean he has to? Like, why does he have to?
If you look at, like, say, Michael Rappaport, I'm trying to give examples of, like, non-stand-ups who all of a sudden are doing stand-up. Like, I think Michael Rappaport actually likes doing it. Right. He doesn't need the money. He's a fantastic actor. He could just sit at home until his next movie gig. But he loves doing stand-up. So he works hard at it. Jeremy Piven just pays some dudes I know, write me 20 minutes. He's a good actor, so he recites the material. But I don't know. I don't know who put it into his head of, hey, you just got Me Too'd out of Hollywood. You should do stand-up.
Right.
And I had an interaction with him at Roast Battle, which was pretty funny. He wanted to fight me in the parking lot of the Comedy Store.
Did he really?
I'm not picking Piven, just letting you know.
I mean,
wait, because of Roast Battle, he wanted to fight you? I missed what you said.
Well, yeah, they, I used to be on that show for a long time.
Right.
I left the show. You talk about a sore subject. I left the show for various reasons, and then I'm in the hallway one night at the Comedy Store, and I get a message from someone associated with the show saying, "Hey, get up here. He's judging right now. The battle that's happening right now sucks. The room needs energy. Get up here and do whatever you want with him." So I go up there, and I had like a John Varvatos leather duster on, so I looked like a combination of Sting and The Undertaker. And, the DJ on if you follow Roast Battle, the funniest guy on the show is the DJ. Like, he's so quick, and he just has like literally 80,000 music files, and he plays them so perfectly.
Wow.
He's unbelievable. He instantly hits the Undertaker's theme song. So, the crowd's going nuts, and I do a heel speech. I rip into Jeff for a little bit, and I think Jason Reitman was there, and I'm like, I liked your dad's films a lot better anyway. And the room's going, because no one talks to Jason Reitman or Jeff like this. And I'm like, well, there's one person I really want to pick on, and that's you. And I point to Jeremy Piven, and he's like, I don't even know who the hell you are, bro. I pray for you. And I'm like, let's roast battle right now, motherfucker. And he's like, I'm not going to roast battle you, but I'll kick your ass in the parking lot. And I said, well, let's save you the time. Let's fight in here. And the crowd just went crazy. And like, Jeff Ross had to hold him down because he's trying to get to me, which would have been his second mistake. And then the whole crowd left when I left. So it was just,
that's awesome.
Wait a minute. Did he say? He said, I pray for you."
Yeah, he was trying to do like improv. He's like, "I'm Christian. I pray for you." I'm like, "I thought you were Jewish." And and he starts stuttering. And I'm like, "Hold on, you need to call Adam Hunter to write you some jokes, because that's who he uses to write jokes."
Right.
And then he did this thing. I have moles all over the comedy world. At the Laugh Factory, when he's bombing, which is quite often, he he'll hit the mic like this. It's a bit he does, like, oh, is this on? As if that's the reason the joke didn't work.
Right.
So he did that upstairs at the Comedy Store, and I'm like, hey man, this is the Comedy Store. Our mics work here. And he just kind of tilted his head at me like, oh my God, who told him that? So I just don't like him. I don't know. You know, I'm all about, you want to start stand up, great, pay your dues and do it the right way. I think he'd feel the same way if I got Me Too'd out of comedy and just started showing up on film sets going, hey, I'd like to act.
Entourage 2.
Yeah, let's do, I don't know, let's do Heat 2 and I'll be De Niro in the scene where you're shaking down for an extra few bucks.
Do you find that there's like more of a, like, because it seems like a lot of actors come and do stand up, but like there are some stand ups that go and act, and obviously that's, I mean, like Kevin Hart, Martin Lawrence, all these guys, whatever. But do you find it goes more one way than the other?
I mean, it's probably pretty equal. You know, there's the Rappaport, there's Piven, there's Brendan Schaub from the MMA world. You know, but then there was Dane Cook, went from comedy to acting, and D'Elia, same thing. You know, Jeff Ross has done some acting. Kevin Hart, obviously. So it's probably fairly even. But I can understand when a comic goes into acting. Because, you know, you need someone funny in a comedy.
Yeah.
So, you know, I see it much more as a synergy on that world versus a serious actor who is now trying to be funny and he's just paying people to write his jokes and he just recites them. And, you know, I mean, we're all delusional, but I remember one night at the Comedy Store, he bombed pretty badly. Now I bombed myself, but
What's fair is fair.
I mean, you know, I have had a few bomb sets in the store because it's a very tough room to play at times. But he came up to me in the back and he just slaps me on the back and goes, you know what, bro? I think I got this. And I'm like, oh, bro, you don't have it.
Wait, so he bombed and then was like, I got it.
Yeah, like, yeah, it's like, I mean, it's good to be delusional. Like, I'd like to think my delusion is based somewhat in reality. Like, I know when I have a bad set.
Right.
It doesn't happen as often as it used to, but it happens. You know, when you're doing jokes about Ratt and Britny Fox, sometimes you're not going to connect with the audience.
Yeah. By the way, Nick has no idea who Britny Fox is.
Just, they were like Diet Cinderella.
Yeah.
So, but I'm obsessed with them, so I do a joke about them, and usually it gets a laugh, not because people know who they are, but they see the enthusiasm in 2020 of some idiot doing a joke about a band who didn't even have a minor hit 30 years ago.
Girls' school.
I'm looking at them right now. I just looked them up. They are some beautiful men.
Well, I mean, the one guy with the really obnoxious blonde wig, this shows you the coldness of the music business. He was the founding guitar player in Cinderella, and the record company said, "You're too ugly. We got to get someone better looking." So,
wow.
But you know, like, I just think Piven and a few others just, they don't understand that stand-up is the hardest job in the world. So you just can't walk into it from another field and expect to be good at it.
It's definitely it's funny. My when I started doing stand-up, my father's a musician. He was a drummer, so he's always like, you know, chilling in the back. You have a whole band up there, and he came and saw a few of my shows, and he comes up to me after and he goes, "So it's just you up there, just by yourself?" I was like, "Yeah, Dad, that's the whole thing. Like, just by yourself." He's like, "Jesus Christ, I could never fucking do that."
I mean, it's a joke I often say on stage of, you know, you can be in a shitty band and look behind you and blame the drummer. But, you know, if you're a shitty comic, you can't really look behind and blame the curtain. So, but that's what makes it great. When you have a good set, it's I tell people it's like sex, you know, it's high risk, high reward. So
yeah, it's all, I like that. It's all like, it's all on you. I was talking to someone who does improv and I was like, man, I don't know. like to rely on other people and to do that. I don't know if I could do that. I feel like it's harder. I've never done it, but I just feel like that's tough when you have to vibe off other people.
It's a different kind of tough. I mean, my girlfriend's a top UCB performer. That's a Upright Citizen Brigade for.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. And I couldn't do it. Like, I got kicked out of the Groundlings the first session I was in. Like, the Groundlings is a bit of a pyramid scheme. It's like UCB's competition out here, and like it's like $800 a class, and let's just say the teacher was a smidge on the bitter side, and he was in a position of power over all of us. So he's like, you're the funniest guy in class, and all this, and then at the end of the 12th session, he gives you your evaluation. And he's like, you're not good enough to do this, right? I'm like, well, wait a minute. Like, a couple of weeks ago, you just said I was the funniest guy in class. Like, he's like, you should take the class again. I'm like, for another $800? Fuck off. Let's just say I've not been invited back to participate.
You were the funniest guy in class whose check hadn't cleared yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Because I actually liked doing improv because it made my stand-up better, because you are forced to listen to other people and not cut them off and play on their funny, not just yours.
Right.
So I'm almost sad it didn't work out for me in the improv world, but I'm probably better off working on my own. So it's all good.
So how do you think the rest of this year looks, comedy-wise?
Well, for me or for others?
For everybody, just in general. I saw, I've seen the store has started to at least serve drinks outside and food.
Yeah, but I think they had to close down again, right? Or no?
No, I'm actually, we're going there tonight. They have food and drink, no shows, obviously.
Right.
But because they have an outdoor, I think the rule is in Los Angeles, if you're outdoors and you serve food, you can be open. So they, I think, serve enough food where they qualify as a restaurant.
Right.
It's a weird time right now. You've got, people going down almost on a daily basis with allegations and stuff like that. And, so that's put a kind of a dim outlook on stand-up. In terms, I think the Comedy Store is best suited to survive the pandemic, just because they have 3 showrooms.
Yep.
So you could do 3 shows at the same time, half capacity, and make it work. Whereas places like the Laugh Factory, you have 1 showroom. So is it worth it to them to do a show at 40% capacity where you still have to pay, let's say Joe Rogan to perform is probably his full rate? Like, can they make it, work? I don't know. So I don't think anyone knows really what the rest of 2020 is going to look like. I know last weekend I went inside the Comedy Store, and they've already experimented with configurations of all 3 rooms, what could work. In the main room, it was surreal for me to see that in between the booths, they're hockey style partitions.
Wow.
So it's just I got on stage and I was in a dream. I never thought I'd see the main room with the empty spaces between groups of tables, and I don't know what it's going to be like, to be honest.
It's going to be an interesting 6 months. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But are you going out on the road, to where you can perform?
I had a bunch of Canadian dates that were all not necessarily canceled, but they were like, hey, we still want you up here.
Right.
In Edmonton and Vancouver. And but they're like, if you come up here and you cross the border, you have to stay up here for 2 weeks on your own dime. Which I get. I wouldn't expect them to pay for my lodging for 2 weeks after I perform. So, I lost a bunch of those dates, it was my first time headlining nice clubs. So it's kind of a bummer. And I'm not going to do any road work in the States just because, I don't know. I don't want to travel to, I don't know, any state really to play in front of a 30% capacity audience.
And then come home with,
which might have been the audience with no pandemic, given my drawing abilities. But I'll just wait. I do enough in the cartoon world to, stay active out here. So let's do that for now.
Right. I mean, hey, that's good. That's very good. It's
pretty dope, man.
I mean, I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
Pat has a backup plan because I use my podcast gear to do voiceover auditions and actual jobs.
Right.
It's nice enough to do it. So I'm lucky to
have that.
The cartoon I'm on Adult Swim has put my name out there in the comedy or the cartoon world. So
and is that back in production now that all the stuff is moving?
Nobody really knows. It's the cartoon's called the Jellies, and it's by Tyler the Creator, and he's so busy. Yeah. I'm the only white guy on it, and I play the dad, and but he's so busy. He's like the new P. Diddy, for lack of a better word. He's got clothing lines, tours. He's got a store on Fairfax, which was like the only store that wasn't touched by the looters. So like the cartoon for him is like 7th.
Yeah, right.
On his list of priorities. Like for me right now, it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I hope it comes back. It would help my stand-up gigs out because we've seen this guy on the Jellies.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, how that works.
If you want, you can play him our theme song and be like, listen, maybe you can get this cartoon going again. I was just on this podcast that has a hip hop theme song.
I mean, I'm all about helping my friends out. I can pass it on to them. I don't know if they'll listen to it, but
no, I would say please don't. I'd let it lay.
Who knows? He might take it.
Yeah, dude, let's take the chance, Greg. Fuck it. Nothing else going on.
I think I wrote the song. I didn't perform it.
Not yet.
2021. Big time. Big time. Listen, dude, we really, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, for real, man.
After your elliptical workout, I know that you were looking forward to this as a cool down.
I was, man. I mean, I love doing other people's podcasts because the pressure's off. Like, when I do mine, it's, there's a lot of pressure when you host a podcast to make it a good interview and make sure the guests are comfortable or whatever. And so I love being the guest because then the pressure's on you guys.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we lived up to some kind of standard that works for you.
Oh, I would love to come back when
yes.
We didn't even talk about roast battle and my bitterness towards comedy in general. That's another 2-hour podcast.
We'll do that when we do the next one. We actually had plans. We were tentatively going to try to get some stuff going and come out to LA and do a whole bunch with people out there that we've either had on or want to have on. Because we've had such a slew of people that are, work the store regularly on our show and lots of others we want to have on. So we're trying to figure out when the hell we can get out there amidst all of this shit show. So next time, hopefully we can do it in person.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. Like right now, there's no shows for anyone to do. Like I know my one friend runs basically an illegal open mic, which, I mean, as much as I want to go on, because I'm a whore. Like I'll do any gig. Like I'll play a black room. I'll play a gay room. I'll play a room where I know my material's not going to fly, but I'll still do it to experience the pain.
Yeah.
So when I'm at the Comedy Store, it'll be like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah, right.
But I can't even do those shows anymore. So, and I've seen pictures of some of the comics at this illegal open mic. It looks like an Amber Alert audition. So,
it's funny. We still, the way me and Nick really started this, this is actually almost, it's like 2 days after our year anniversary of doing the podcast together. And it started, we met in the gym. He was my trainer. And then we started just promoting comedy shows out here in Southern Connecticut outside the city. And our first thing we started promoting was a weekly open mic at a bar on the beach. And we, in Connecticut, thankfully, our we're pretty open right now with restaurants inside, outside, can even have some small live entertainment. So we started our open mic show up again this past Monday night. And I think, to say the least, it was rough. It was a rough go, but it was fun to watch, some of the guys who we actually, we also book a room 4 nights a week in a different town as a, traditional comedy club. And we had a lot of guys on this show Monday night who were people we would pay to come do shows because they're good local comics, and just watching them work off the rust, it was something special.
My friends were asking me, like, how'd it go Monday? I go, well, so all my friends were, lift like me and athletic and stuff. And I was like, well, I go, imagine you don't work out for 4 months and then you have your first workout back and you're there, but everything feels really heavy and it's not the same. So that's what it was like. And he was like, okay, got it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm petrified of my first set when I come back. I thought, well, I'll do a few Instagram live shows, basically one-man shows where I can stretch and do an hour. And these are my own shows, mind you. It's just me doing jokes, and they were fucking horrible, to be honest with you. Like, I need to hear, I'm like a trained monkey. I need to hear laughter. I need to, like, if I'm going to bounce a ball on my nose, I need to hear, like, the only way you really get feedback on Instagram Live is an emoji every now and then popping up. So I haven't performed. I mean, my last show was at the Comedy Store, I think the night before the pandemic. And it was a weird show because I'm a huge hockey fan, and a lot of the room was the Ontario Reign were there, and that's the LA Kings farm team.
Right.
So I was in heaven. I'm like, oh my God, that's Boko Imama in the crowd. And he's like this huge African-American enforcer that plays for the Kings. And so I'm such a stage junkie that I haven't gone more than 2 days in 20 years without going up.
Wow.
And that's not an exaggeration. So I think we're coming up 4 months now. I mean, I'm gonna, it's not gonna be pretty that first set.
Yeah, everyone's in the same boat.
Yeah, that's the only positive, is that I'm gonna be bad, and probably so is everyone else on the lineup.
Are you? Those shows at the Rose Bowl are happening this weekend, right? The drive-in shows that they're doing, or that?
Not that I know of, but I'm in my own bubble. I'm like John Travolta in that Boy in the Plastic Bubble movie. Like, if I'm not on the show, I don't know where it's at.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's this weekend that the Rose Bowl. It might have been last weekend. Comedy Dynamics was taping like 4 people's sets for like Comedy Dynamics specials. Erica Rhodes was one of them.
She's great.
Yeah, she's so funny. She had one. Anyway, doesn't matter. But they're doing something, at least in some kind of large scale. It looked pretty friggin' impressive. Some of the pictures I saw that they were setting up in the parking lot. Huge screen.
I mean, I know Rick and Tammy Bronson, who own the comic strip in Edmonton, and I'm drawing a blank, but they also own a club in Scottsdale.
Right.
I've played it numerous times. I'm forgetting the name because I'm under the gun. They've had some drive-in or outdoor shows in both Arizona and Edmonton. House of Comedy in Arizona.
Yeah.
And they've been pretty packed. But I don't know of any shows out here right now. So other than my friend Johnny's illegal mic, looks like the bar in Star Wars. So
I want to come just to go to that. I'll wear a hazmat suit or something.
I mean, he means well, but it looks like a bus depot.
Right.
So I'm, as much as I want to get up, I'll just, I still write every day, and I'll try my jokes out to the dog, and I don't know, my RoboCop doll that's staring in front of me right now. So,
Well, I'll leave you on a good, since you're such a big hockey fan, you may know these guys already, but if you don't, you should check out the band, the Zambonis.
I've heard of them. I'm not familiar with their tunes.
Yeah, you should check them out. They're actually, they're really great. They're local to us in Connecticut. and I know Dave, the main guy, and it's a great band. They're very talented, and if you didn't know their songs were about hockey, you would not know their songs are about hockey, right? They're great. They're like, punk inspired, but rock and roll. It's fun stuff. You should check them out. Just being such a big hockey fan.
Well, it's funny that hockey fans, a lot of musicians, and I'm friends with most of Slash's solo band.
Right.
And, I think the bass player's from Saskatchewan. The drummer is one of my best friends. Is from Winnipeg. They're all huge hockey fans. And I know like Bad Religion, which is a famous punkish band out here. Their singer's like a huge hockey fan. So it's funny. The fans in hockey really are kind of like the hockey players themselves. They're gritty. They're like basketball fans are hoi hoi polloi and let's sit courtside and have caviar. Hockey fans are like, let's have a fucking beer and a weenie.
I like hockey by no means, but I say I'm a huge hockey fan. I went to a college that hockey was huge at in New England, and after this is many years later, I became very friendly with a well-known painter who specializes in sports like paintings, oil paintings, and he in turn is very friendly with a guy that's a huge hockey person, owns a hockey team in like a minor league hockey team. He ran a hockey team in Russia, very tied to worldwide hockey. So when the Olympics were in Vancouver, however many years ago, that is now 8-10 years ago, I became friendly with this guy's name is Scott. And he's like, hey, when we're up in Vancouver, assuming I was going to go to the Olympics, he was like, you want to come out and play some hockey? And I'm like, I haven't been on ice skates in probably 20 years at the time. I'm like, but sure, I'll go kick it around. I can ice skate. He's like, okay, I'll put you on the emails. So it's getting closer to the Olympics. These emails start going around. And when I tell you who was on these emails, it was the biggest names in hockey. I mean, including Gretzky, Eric Lindros, Brian Leach. I mean, like, Mark Messier, an insane amount of people who were playing pickup hockey at the Olympics.
That's crazy. I mean,
if I can find that email, I will flip it over to you just to see how it's ridiculous that I was invited to play a hockey scrimmage with these guys. And in the last email before the Olympics, which I wasn't going to, by the way, I wrote back and I'm like, hey guys, just letting you know, I want number 99 and I call goal.
I mean,
that was it.
It's crazy. Like I play in this very competitive ball hockey league out here. I think back east where you guys are, they call it deck hockey.
Right.
But it's basically pro ball hockey where you're running around in a roller rink.
Yep.
And we've had a few NHL players in the summer who live out here play with us. And to play hockey with a pro hockey player, especially when you're in sneakers, it's mind-blowing how talented these guys are.
Yeah.
Like Luke Robitaille came out and played with us. And, every guy out there was like, I'm going to show him. And they tried to check him. And he literally would just, like the Matrix, just go back like this. Some fucking 40-year-old ball hockey warrior would go crashing headfirst into the boards. It was pretty funny.
That's amazing. I'd love to watch that shit. Anyway, dude, really, thank you very much. I want to catch up with you after, not now, but like at some point, we'll just shoot the shit about music. And we have a bunch of friends and people in common that we can just shoot the shit about.
Oh, thank you guys for having me, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for spending the time.
Thank you, dude.
And
great.
hopefully we can get out to West Coast and do some stuff live in person. And
I want to come to the East a little more often when this is all said and done. Like I love the Stand in New York. Like they take really good care of me, and
right.
I've got cousins in Connecticut. Greenwich.
Well, the room that we run the club at. We built it. We started from scratch last October, and it was going tremendously well until all this shit happened. It's like a cabaret room. It holds about 60 people, and we bring New York City people out Friday and Saturday nights to headline. Wednesday, Thursday we do open mic and new talent showcases and stuff. But on the weekends we bring people out from the city to do shows. So if you are out here, by all means, when it's ready, we'd love to have you come do a show in our room.
I would love to. Like,
Um,
like I said, I'll play anywhere. Like, so I'm.
Yeah, we're like 15 minutes north of Greenwich. Like that's where the club is. It's in South Norwalk, so it's like.
Okay, I got some cousins out there. Of course, some of my cousins with the last name of Skakel, you may not want in your club, but I'll do a selective invite.
We take anybody that wants to come and watch comedy.
That's right.
We don't discriminate on anything.
Well, you might want to discriminate against a few of my cousins, but
we appreciate the honesty. We appreciate the honesty, Earl. Really
it's your club. I'm too honest for my own good, which is probably why I'll never make it.
It's your guest list. All right, brother. Thank you very much. We'll definitely catch up soon.
All right, guys. Thank you very much, man. Have a good night.
Bye, Earl.